so that we have that. I don't want to forget to record. Well, welcome everybody today. Today we have a great guest. Rachel is with LodeStar Home Inspections, and she is going to talk today about managing client expectations. And when she and I were talking about like kind of what topics to cover, that one came up to the front right away. And the reason that that topic is so important is gosh, when a transaction falls apart, a lot of the time it's right at the home inspection, right? And sometimes it's just not like it's not that the house is even that terrible. Sometimes it's the buyer gets just goes sick, scared, from seeing this, terrible report, and that can really throw things off. So anyway, I'm going to lead it over to Rachel. As you have questions, could you just do the digital hand raise? That way, Rachel can just stop
Mhm.
every minute. Every once in a while, she'll be able to stop and ask, answer some questions and things like that. And we'll know who's got a question coming up. She'll just probably stop every once in a while. Does that sound good to you, Rachel?
Yep, absolutely. And you can also just take yourself off mute. And if I see your microphone go
There
off,
you
then I can also, but I'm a good multitasker. I have a couple kids, but
go.
but there is that, and that it's just one of those things. So raise your hand, or take yourself off mute and feel free to just pop in. And the ultimate multitasker, Miss Jones, you're fine to be on camera while you're doing it. It's totally fine. Hair
Absolutely.
must be done. The weekend is coming too.
That's
Okay,
right.
so I want to let you know, as a home inspector, I've been not just inspecting houses for the past 20 years, but also I've done over 11,000 hours of volunteer hours with real estate associations, and so been on the board of directors, done a ton of different things, and led committees. So I really have an inside track on what you are dealing with and how everything changes so quickly and all the pressure on you to get it right in what you're telling people, which could lead you to say things that you shouldn't say because they increase your liability. And also, they can take you at once you start saying things, it's hard to bring them, you can't bring them back. So I want to make sure that you know that how much you don't know, but also feel safe in a way that you know where to get the answers so that you're not stuck. It's funny, as you were saying that, Kirsten, I have a LinkedIn newsletter that's all about managing buyers' expectations. It's just for buyers. So you can get that and use that as content if you want. My LinkedIn is my name. So, and it's the same. I have one for agents from your point of view, but I also have one specifically for buyers to help them understand it doesn't matter if it's 80 pages and 100 problems. It's actually what matters to you, and some of that stuff is so little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the PowerPoint that I use for home buyer seminars. I've participated in over 1,000 of them. And so I've put it together over the years as people have asked me questions and added stuff in. So I'm going to like gloss over the parts that you probably don't need, but I wanted to kind of show you what I am showing them so that you know. Hang on one second. Um, okay, you can see it now, right?
Yep,
You
we
just
got it.
don't need to see everything
You got it.
all at once. It's too much. Okay, so now you can just see the my
No,
introduction, right?
we see your introduction. We see your next slide too.
Geez, Louise. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Here we go. There we go. Okay,
Yep.
so this is me. I'm also the commissioner for the home inspector and appraiser um, commission. I'm the chair of that commission. Um, Governor Moore appointed me to that, and then I just got elected as the chair.
Oh,
So,
congratulations.
thank
What do you
you.
not do? What do you not do?
I will tell you. Also, if you're familiar with see, this is what I love because I like the serving part. So the other thing is that I'm the vice president of the local NAREB chapter, the Real Estate Brokers of Baltimore. If you're not familiar with them, we could talk about that later too. But and but I did just resign my position as vice president of the HCAR Cares Howard County Association of Realtors Foundation because I can't do everything, Mr. White. And I just got
Right.
custody of my great nephew who has some issues. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm scaling back. So thank you for asking, because yes. Okay. So a home inspection, and these are all things that you should be able to just say to your clients, and you want them to know this stuff before you want them to know this before you ever start looking at houses. You want them to know what the limitations are as much as you can. The home inspector is not going to be, well, I'll get into it. So we're looking at the physical structures of the house, how it is, what we can see there. So we're looking at the roof, we're looking at the foundation, we're looking at the all the plumbing stuff that we can see, running the water, draining things, flushing the toilets, jiggly handle if you got to jiggle the handle like at your grandmother's house, you got to jiggle the handle to make it finish flushing, that's going in the report. You could tell that to people so that they get it's like the most basic stuff, but it's just things that are not the way they're supposed to be. And I will go pretty quickly because I know you've got other stuff going on, but I'll give you this. Usually happens within a couple of days to a week after the home inspection. It depends on how you've written the contract. This will save you time and money. So if you love the house, you're not sure about it, and you make an offer, do the home inspection, you find out, and then you can, if you decide that it's stuff that you don't want, or it's stuff more than you can handle, or the seller doesn't agree with whatever you ask for, if that's how you've written it, then you can back out of it, have another home inspection at the next one. But this is a huge, uh, around $500 that you're spending to get really great peace of mind about what's happening. It's also important to learn about how the house works. So many people are getting a home inspection, they can't be there. And then they don't know how the house works. And in an emergency, they don't know where to start. And I did this with a realtor, a top, top realtor in Keller Williams, on one of his properties, maybe first or second property that he bought, and his microwave stopped working. And so he called me and he said, Rachel, the microwave's not working. You did my inspection. Can you help me out? So I went out and looked at it. He's like, I got a second microwave. It doesn't work either. Did you check the breaker? Where's the breaker? What's a breaker? That's right. So what you want to know is your clients need to know this as we're getting into it, where to go in an emergency. An outlet's not working. Let me show you where to reset the breaker because it's probably not something about that appliance or whatever it is. Let me show you how to troubleshoot that at the very basic level so that you're confident about those things. And water main shutoffs. You need to know where that is. It's my philosophy that if you know where that is, you'll never need it. I mean, Okay. So really quickly, a home inspection is not an appraisal. And I'm going to say this to you all because I can see your faces and you've been very, I feel like we're connected a little bit. So if I may be a little silly about this, may I?
Yes.
Okay. And Chico, I think we met. Where did we meet? You,
It could have been like one of
a-
our
anywhere?
classes, trainings, or anything. I'm
Probably.
just
Yeah,
trying
you're
to
so
see. It could have been a
familiar.
meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Um,
got a familiar face, I think.
Thank you. Well, when I saw your security on your thing, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I do know you, but okay, I'm
I
going to
mean,
get back to.
I do that as my regular job, and but they had me all over places, so you could have seen me in the field somewhere.
Okay, got that. Okay, thank you. And
Thank,
yeah, yes. And if you are working more than one career right now, kudos to you. You are not a dual career agent. You are a leveraged agent. You can't do your job without all of us as partners to be able to create what you want. And congratulations to you because you see opportunity in life and don't see it as limited and you're stuck. So,
thank
congratulations.
you, thank you.
You're welcome. So the appraisal, and I hear some agents use these words interchangeably, appraisal and inspection, and that's why I'm saying this to you. I make a big deal about it with the buyers so that they get it. The appraisal is the dollar value, and I know you know this more. The appraisal identifies the dollar value of the property, what the bank is willing to loan. The home inspection is about identifying defects. You go to the home inspection, the buyer goes to the home inspection, and the buyer doesn't go to the appraisal. When the appraiser is there, it's very quick. When the home inspector is there, we're there about 2 to 3 hours. One easy way to remember that is that I, as a home inspector, identify defects for a living. That may be why my first marriage didn't work out. I don't know. Now you'll always remember that, right, Tiffany? And Jeanette, you know what? Your face is covered by your name in my picture, so I can't, all I can see is your eyes and the beautiful like periwinkle paint behind you. Oh, thank you. Okay. And Miss Sharon, thank you for being on camera too. Okay, here we go. So the home inspection is not about cosmetic stuff. This is really about the things that are going to impact your ability to live in the house safely without spending tons of money. Now, for everyone, tons of money is a different amount. But the major thing for your clients to know is age is not a defect. Ha! Tell that to the rest of America. That's what I like about home inspections. Age is not a defect, and ugly wallpaper and tasteless decorating, not a defect. You're going to move in there and change that stuff. Your buyer is, and maybe you've had a good stager come in and do some stuff. But the funky stuff that's not impacting the structure of the house is not going to be something we talk about. Now, if there's a hole in the drywall and it's indicating that maybe there's water leaking or something, that's coming up. But otherwise, it's not weird. My first house that, or my second house that I bought had naked lady wallpaper in the primary bathroom. And I keep meaning to change this and I keep forgetting this picture, but that was if you look at my Facebook page, it's in there because it was so funny. Like that's what it was. The walls, the ceilings, naked ladies. So very, very interesting. And that's not about the house. That's about interesting taste. And everyone should have their own form of self-expression. So if the items are operating as they should, it's not going in the report. If it is operating the way it should, but it's old, we're going to give you information, say budget to replace this, and you don't need to, so budget to replace this, or if you're thinking of getting a home warranty, this might be a good time to do that. Those are things just to be adding in there when there are items that have lived past their life expectancy or are close to their life expectancy. You want to just tell them the home warranty is something to think about, and then also budgeting to replace these, like the roof or the furnace, the water heater. This is the one that gets everyone, and it can get you in trouble as the agent, because if you're on site with someone and you're looking at a property and someone says, "Well, is this okay?" What I've heard agents say that gets them in trouble is the home inspector will come and tell us if it's up to code or not. Pretty logical thought, right? I mean, and buyers think that, of course. Most agents think that. It's not a code inspection. And when I say this at home buyer seminars, uh, eyeballs are popping out of people's heads because it's okay. So seriously, it doesn't have to meet code to sell? Nope. Just the code of the time that the house was built or most substantially renovated, most recently substantially renovated. So my house that I bought, Baltimore City house, 2014 is when I bought it. It was built in 1957, had never been renovated. So I didn't have those, the outlets in the bathroom and the kitchen with the reset buttons, those GFCI outlets. It didn't have those. That was fine because it had not been renovated. And so it didn't have to meet code of the current time. It just had to meet the code of the time that it was built. So that's, as you're looking at things and people are thinking about, well, they're going to have to fix this, they're going to have to bring it up to code. No, this is about the house as it is, and updating is not what a home inspection is about. A home inspection is about what's working, that's there, that's the way it's supposed to be or not the way it's supposed to be. Another thing is that we're not experts. Now, you're not experts on how houses operate. You're going to know way more than the average person, but you don't have to know all the things. You can say, we're at this property. I don't even want to give my opinion on that because, well, let's wait for the home inspector. That totally works, and you can say that. Go ahead, Marie.
The question is this. Thank you very much, Richard, for
You're
taking me.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah. For what you say, if the buyer has you, is this one up to code? What is the right answer for that one?
The answer is that the home inspection is, so if they ask, like, while you're looking at a house,
Yeah.
you can say, we don't know if it's up to code, and the house doesn't have to meet current code to sell. The best thing to do would be to suggest that your clients do a permit search, look online for the permits. So they can then look and see, because Maryland is a caveat emptor state, which means they buyer beware. It's not up to you to pull permits. And if you start pulling permits, then you're on a slippery slope of what you're going to do. Why aren't you looking up sex offenders in the area? Why aren't you looking up other things for them? So you want to make sure. And Kirsten, pull me off if, because I'm way outside the scope of a home inspector right now as I'm telling you this stuff, but I'm telling you as a, if I'm going beyond where
No,
what you
you're
think is
absolutely right. Absolutely right. Is that we don't know. And I often tell people to check for code, see if permits are pulled, especially those of you who are working in Baltimore City. Especially because in Baltimore City, more permits tend to be required for just about everything,
Mhm.
whereas in other counties it's not so much. So anytime, I even sometimes if I'm showing a house in Baltimore City that's been recently renovated, I'll check and see if permits were pulled even before I go show it sometimes, because I want to be able to. If my buyer's not okay with that, don't want to waste my time, honestly.
Right. And
Yeah,
then if they get it and permits have not been pulled and closed with a
right,
final inspection,
right.
then your buyer could be stuck removing drywall, removing a deck, removing a whatever has been done so that the city inspectors can come in and look
Yep.
at the whatever's going on behind the walls, the electrical, the plumbing, whatever.
I've
And
had We're the one property where they've torn up drywall. Alfonso, to find out about the permits, every single county has them separately, so it's going to be different by county. Google like the county name and then permit search, and then take it from there.
yep. And that's what I do. And I got a call or a text from an agent yesterday saying, I'm going to buy this house. Can you, when can you do this? And I looked at it and it had a ton of renovations. The roof seems to be sagging. And I looked it up just to see, but I just Googled Baltimore County permit search and then followed that trail to get there. The main thing is you want your clients to take as much ownership of this process as possible, which means doing that research. And you may have a checklist for them
Yep.
of check for what's important to you, the schools, um, I don't know, crime rate, permits, and all those different, and sex offenders, all the things that they are going to be asking you that you can't legally tell them
Right? You're going to
because
send them the link where they can look it up. You're not the expert on those things. You are going to connect them with the expert, is the way I.
you're like the middle on a
Resource
wheel.
library,
There you
Pardon?
go.
a resource library.
Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes. Yep. Exactly. And the reason that realtors are so necessary is because nobody knows what they don't know. That's the whole reason you don't know what you don't know is a saying, because you can't know what you don't know to look up. I got really lucky because my next door neighbor was the listing agent of the house that I bought a long time ago, and she lived next door to me. And so our kids were out at the bus stop and she would tell me things about getting a property ready to list. And so I learned a lot more from her and then through what I've been doing, but you need to be able to just let them know these things. And all of this is what makes a for sale by owner or buying without an agent so risky because they don't know. You already know that. I know I'm preaching to the choir right now, but that's just want to make sure that you're letting them know that. Stephanie, you came off mute for a second. Did you have a question before I move on? It was okay. Okay. So the home inspector is not an expert either. We are generalists. We're like the primary care physician. So when we're at the inspection, you could say the home inspector is going to give you lots of information because they're the experts about all the house stuff, but we're not experts about HVAC and all the other things. We know about them and can tell you when something's wrong or doesn't look right. But if we see something that doesn't look right, we're going to refer you to a plumber, electrician, a structural engineer, whatever it is, based on what we're seeing and our experience. So it's like sending you to the cardiologist because your heart sounds funny, and the primary care physician says, it sounds weird. I want you to be seen by a cardiologist. Cardiologist says, yeah, that has an interesting beat, but no, you're fine. Then that trumps the home inspectors. statement. And you can always ask us again after that. But the major thing is that you need to know we are referring people. And so then why don't they just get a HVAC electrician, plumber, structural engineer, a roofer to all come out at the same time and look at the property instead of having a home inspector? If we're going to send you to someone extra, why not just do that? Because it's expensive. It costs a lot of time. Most sellers don't want a bunch of people traipsing through the house and to look at certain parts of the house. So we come through and really what we charge is such a small amount compared to what they're spending on the house that it's a way to like triage it and see what specialists they might need is probably the best way to describe it for them. So many people say, well, what if it fails the inspection? The seller will have to fix everything, right? No, it can't pass or fail. The home inspection is all about it's a list of objective findings. Like, here's what's going on with the house. There's a hole in the roof. It doesn't make it fail. And on the next slide, I'll show you. I mean, some lender programs will have it not work. Like, you've got to get that fixed for a lender program or a grant program, whatever, a lender product or a grant program. But the home inspection is just information that the buyer takes and then makes a decision about. And that's a hard thing for people to grasp because and I was talking to someone and it was a social situation and they were like, well, why don't you make the seller fix those things then? Like, well, all I'm doing is telling you what's wrong. I told you why my first marriage didn't work out, you know? Like, I'm like, I just tell you what's wrong. My son came back early from senior week after high school graduation to go to the Marines. That may be because I point out what's wrong everywhere I go. I don't know. I was terrible to buy a house with. I'm lucky that some people still love me. But it's funny because it's hard to stop your brain from doing that. I I do stand-up comedy, and when I'm in a place and I look up at the ceiling, I'm always looking at the ceiling to see if there's evidence of any leaks, and it's just terrible. Um, so anyway, I am safe in social situations. It's just funny because it's the way the brain works. Thank you, Tiffany. So now I'm just going to show you and you want to let your buyers know that so they can take some of the edge off of the inspection. They don't have to be stressed out. It's not a pass or fail. This is you learning about the house and understanding it. Now, this is one of the most common lender required or grant program required documents. And this is a couple of the pages so you can see how what these lenders are requiring or the grant programs require. This is from the housing safety checklist, housing quality something, HQS. It's the HQS. And this is the most common one. You have a page like this for every single room and hallway and bathroom and stairway. Is there an outlet? Is there a light? Is there a hole in the wall? All those things. So these are the things that get documented, but it's very, very basic. Is there the biggest one that will hit for many of the lenders, USDA, VA, FHA, and most of the grant programs all want to have railings on the stairs so that if there are more than 3 steps, which means 4 or more, it's more than 3 risers, which is the vertical part of the stairs. There's more than 3 of those, then you need to have a handrail, a graspable handrail, not an Ed Reed size handrail like for his hands, but like I'm 5'1", by the way. I have tiny hands, so tiny Rachel hands, your grandmother's hands have to fit around these railings so that they can catch themselves. That's the purpose of it. Grant programs don't want you to fall down the stairs and have nothing to hold on to and not be able to pay your mortgage. Oh, did that sound too cynical? What I meant was they want to keep you safe. So the other thing is they want the windows to not be broken and that they can lock, so no broken glass. They want the windows to lock for security purposes. So those are all things that are going into those grant programs that they want to know just to keep you safe. And when you're thinking, if someone says, I want to get this place because in the basement there's a bedroom and I'm going to have that for my son, or I'm going to rent it out or something. That is in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, there are rental inspections that both jurisdictions require. And we could talk about that at the home inspection as well or another time. But the main thing, if someone wants to rent out a basement area as a bedroom or another space as a bedroom, it doesn't matter if it has a closet, as you've heard over the years, I'm sure that there it has to have a window and a closet. That doesn't matter as much as having a window that people can easily get to. So consider me at 5 feet tall trying to get in out that window in a fire, and it has to be big enough because inches don't matter when you're saying it has to be 5 feet by 5 feet or whatever. It has to be big enough for a firefighter with an oxygen tank on their back to get in to rescue you from the basement. So yes, there has to be a way for you to get out if there's a fire, other than that door into the other part of the basement, but you've got to be able to get out and the firefighter has to be able to get in. So that's what that is. And you want to just be thinking about that. The other part is telling your client, your buyers what their responsibilities are. I just first lawsuit in 20 years. Right now, a woman is suing me because her roof is leaking. We did her inspection in 2021. The home inspection is a snapshot in time. It's what's happening at the time. Now the roof is leaking. It's 5 years later. She doesn't want, she doesn't think it should be her responsibility to have to clean the gutters. And she's furious. So she sued us and the roofer and her realtor, and the house flipper.
Wow.
And she doesn't have a lawyer, so that's why this is actually going to court. Like she's doing this all on her own. Because if she read the contract, our agreement, this she wouldn't even have us there. Or any, I mean, but the whole thing is you have to read the report. And what buyers will say a couple of years later or a year later is, well, I never even got the report. Well, we have a digital thing showing you got the report and opened it, but I can't make you read it and I can't make you understand it. So what I tell buyers is if you have to be at the inspection for like the last hour or have a phone call with us, a FaceTime call, but you want to understand what's happening with the house so that you know what the home inspector's been doing and what they've seen, because the report can be really scary by itself. On our website, there is which is lodestarinspections.com. We do have a sample report. You can use that for practicing writing addendums and stuff, or writing your PIN. The major thing is if your client doesn't understand the report, what happens is the stuff that's in there they forget about. Then they forget about, or if they read it, they forget about it. Then you send them a magnet before football season and they stick it on their fridge. Then something happens in the house and they get ticked off. And every time they see it, they get more and more upset with you and more vocal. And with each of your 33 touches, they are like getting more and more annoyed with you. And you're losing the benefit of having clients out there marketing for you and lead genning for you because they're mad about something. If you tell them up front, if you don't clean your gutters, they're going to leak and you're going to have water in the walls. That's like those are things that have to happen. Or change your filter. All these things. What I love is when a buyer says to me, "Yeah, my agent told me all these things and they happened." Not because you are, and my inspectors nicknamed me the cheerleader of bad news. Because it's great that if something goes wrong on a home inspection, because then it happened then before they bought it, so they can use it for negotiating powers.
Right.
If it happens and they have been guided to believe that the home inspection is about finding everything that's wrong and not they won't be any surprises later, homeowners have a problem later, and then you're losing out on that client. And every client is gold because you know all the relationships they have. So this part of this management of their expectations is making sure that they understand going in so that then they can be your extended marketing team once they have bought. This is a big one. There's no such thing as a perfect house at all, no matter what. As a matter of fact, there are only two types of houses. Ones that have problems and ones that are going to have problems. So even if what it has now is just, I don't know, some caulk that needs to be replaced around a window, things are going to happen in the future, just like if you take vitamins, go vegan, exercise every day, quit smoking, don't drink, do all the healthy things, and then you could still trip and break your ankle. Same thing happens with the house. A tornado comes, anything could happen. So, what you want to help prepare them for is because, especially if you're working with first time home buyers, you don't want them to be terrified by that idea because it's a paradigm shift, especially if they are the first in their family to ever buy a house, right? Like if you're thinking, I grew up in apartments. My parents had an apartment. My grandparents have an apartment. My aunt and uncle have one. Like no one's had a house. No one, it's a total paradigm shift. And so you've got to help them understand part of the benefit of owning your own house is when that little handle on the toilet is, you have to jiggle it to make it finish flushing or whatever at your grandmother's house. If that doesn't bother you, you can leave it like that forever. Your priorities matter when you own the house. You're no longer a victim to your landlord. And you can reduce the potential for these problems cropping up by doing maintenance. Any questions so far on this? I'm seeing nodding and people getting what I'm saying, so I don't want to. Okay. Clean the gutters. These are my gutters. These are my gutters. Like the cobbler's kid who has no shoes. That's my gutters.
I was gonna say that.
My son came to visit, the one who was in the Marines. My younger son came to visit. He's like, looked out the window. I was so proud when he said, Mom, he goes, Mom, the gutters are full. They need to be cleaned. And I was like, oh, like I trained him right. Then he left. So then I was out there cleaning the gutters. And I took my great nephew out there and he was so terrified he wore a bike helmet on the ladder to go like 3 rungs up. You don't want to do this yourself. And a lot of people in neighborhoods will have a recommendation or something of someone who just go through and does everybody's gutters. But this right here, if there's water in the gutters, if there are leaves, the water's not going down, it's going down behind the wall. And water going behind a wall leads to water at the perfect temperature to grow.
Mold.
Yes, the biggest 4-letter word ever. So, what you're looking at, and you can see this when you're looking at properties, previewing them online. I also offer this as a Zoom service to meet and look at properties online with people, either while they're on site or just looking at the listings they're looking at. But if the downspouts, so the gutter has the downspout coming down from it. Let me just move you guys over here, coming down here from the gutter. If the water is now, say it's clear, water's pouring down, but there's no extension like this, then you've got a little lake right here. And this water has nowhere to go but the ground or into your house.
In the property.
Yep. So you can look at this online and see it and go, okay, that's right there. Even if it's dry outside and it's August or something and we haven't had any rain, you can look there and go, I don't see downspout extenders. I'm just going to think when I get there, I'm just going to walk around the property and get inside and go right to the basement to those corners. Your clients are going to think you are psychic, but because you're going to get there and there's going to be water staining 90% of the time. And that's the biggest problem that you can just nip in the bud. It's like, okay, so my house had ivy all over it. If you have clients because it's so pretty, there's ivy all over the house and it looks attractive, it destroys the house. I met my husband on Match.com, and he told me that he rode bikes. He's a bike rider. And so I was thinking we'll be able to ride bikes together. I go to his house for the first time, also Baltimore City, go down to the basement to get the laundry out of the dryer, whatever it was. I go down there, there's his bike with ivy growing on it through the walls. Ivy's growing on it. And I'm like, I don't think you're a regular biker. But it stuck with me because the ivy damages the house. It grows right through there. And when the ivy grows through, bugs follow those like a superhighway and critters. So you want to not have that happen. And my house covered in ivy, the ivy grew in and blocked completely the downspout. So in the basement, when I went down there, I could see it was unfinished in this corner. I could see there was water staining. but I could also see why it was probably happening. So the first thing we did was cut down that, oh my gosh, snake-filled ivy. It went through the bricks, it went through the mortar, and then so you don't want that. And then I saw the house a couple days before I did my final walkthrough, a couple days before settlement. When I actually went into the house right after settlement, the ivy had grown through into the wall, through the wall in the basement. But it damaged the downspout enough that I just had to replace the whole thing. I couldn't even get it all out of there. So, and remove all the ivy. So just be aware of that. Another thing that's super simple is window well covers. Super inexpensive. You've got the downspout extenders, plastic, Home Depot or Lowe's, 15 bucks. Then you've got these, you can get all sorts of fancy if you want, but you can just get a plastic one and put it over this. I teach these mock home inspections. So we go to a property and we talk about what I see, what you see, and you get to ask questions about what you see so that you can understand that.
Well, when is
March
that?
14th.
When is that?
March 14th.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's on the calendar. Yep.
Yep. And what I'll do is once I've got Kirsten's going to send me your email addresses and I'll send you the link to my whole training calendar so that you can see that because I also do once a month just a Zoom training in the morning. Um, but so I do one of the trainings, mock inspections at my business partner's house, and that man had toys in this thing. The downspout extender went into that. I was like, Neil, I mean, so it's easy for that to get blocked because there's usually drainage at the bottom of that. You can't see it. Usually there are stones or there's a drain, but this reduces that problem almost to zero. The other one is, I know this looks like a chinchilla, but it's a it's a filter. You've got to change the filters, and you don't need the most expensive filter. So this one on the right is the old one, on the left is the new one. Stephanie, did you have something?
I'm just nodding because I know that pain right there. You have to replace those at least once a month.
Yep. And sometimes you can do it every 3 months. It sort of depends on which one you have and what you've got going in your house, what your allergies are, that kind of thing. But you don't want the most expensive one because those are really, really woven really tightly. And you know how when you're wearing a mask, you breathe, it's a little harder to breathe. And some of those people who doubled up on a mask, it was really hard to breathe. That it puts a strain on your system, on your body. When this filter is like this, the air it can't get through easily and it's putting a strain on your whole HVAC system, so it's working harder. So not only is it not doing what you want it to do, but it's also causing the lifespan to be shortened on your system. So don't go with the most expensive, you just go with middle of the road. And I do a program for listings as well. I recommend if you have listings, have them get a box of filters and write a month on each one and have them next to the system and a new filter inside the HVAC system because it makes the home inspector think that they are planning and taking care of things very well. Just a little hint.
I'm glad I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm glad you included this because that's a valid point for every person in here to know because I had a problem with my HVAC where I thought the heat was not working and I made a service call
Oh,
and the person came all the way out. They charged me the $75 and he basically was like, do you have any other filters? And I was like, yes. And I gave him the new filter. He took the old one out. It was filthy like that. It popped the new one in. And then it was like miraculously the furnace kicked on and then the heat came right out. And I was like, it wasn't that simple. I didn't realize. So that was my aha takeaway to do that every month because I also had problems where it was like I kept sneezing and I didn't know why. And I didn't
yes.
realize I needed to change that filter.
Yes. And that's interesting that you said that because you can have more dust. You have more dust sitting in your house. So thank you for sharing that. And so I would recommend sharing that if you want to do a social media post together, we can go on Zoom and do it. We can for any of these things, anything you want to do, I'm happy to do social media things with you, like just tidbits or something. We could film 5 different little tidbits or whatever. And of course, Kirsten can chop up this video and put it out there, and you can use parts of it to just put it with yours. Don't AI me doing anything weird, um, but that you can totally do that. You will not have filters like this to change if all you have is radiators. That is something that your buyers should know too. I will also add, if you do, and this is what we'll see on the 14th, is if you have radiators, you've got buyers who want to get a house that does not have air conditioning, central air, the mini split is what you get. And those have different filters. So the house where we're doing this has got a mini split, so I can show it to you. So you can actually see the two different types of filters and how that works. Okay, holy smokes, look at me. I am talking fast and still not doing it. Also, you want this, and we're still back on what your people can do as maintenance items. We're at the very end now. This person had the blue thing in the back of their toilet. It was leaking. The toilet was leaking. I could tell because there was the blue dye from the toilet thing. If this is called a hose bib, technically, instead of a spigot, but so we call it a bib, but most people don't know what that is. If that's leaking, you want to tighten it. A lot of times it's just tightening this screw that is the issue. And so once that happens, then you're not losing money, and you're also saving the house because you don't want water dripping here forever. Water here is going to go down under the sink at some point. So there's a screw on the back of this handle. You do that, and then it's tighter, and it's one thing less to worry about. Another thing that you're supposed to do is empty your water heater. You're supposed to empty your water heater, flush it out once a year to make it last longer. And I live in Baltimore City where water costs more than, diamonds, so I don't do it, but that is something that you're supposed to do, and there are issues to do that. So we could talk about that as another thing. You change your filter monthly, Jeanette, and I actually wanted to say, yes, from Amazon is where I get them. Also, the dryer vent was the other thing. I'm glad you said that, Jeanette, because I forgot. I was going to say, oh, if your dryer's not heating, this could be it too. You want to make sure that your dryer vent is all the way clear. So it's not just cleaning the lint trap, but also from outside to the inside. And you can get vacuum attachments to put in and just go down in there to do that. Okay. Also, this is a great date night tip for you, Alfonso. I know you were asking for tips and tricks. Date night. Now you see why my first marriage didn't work. It's really because I was doing this on date night. Here we go. This is here. And by the way, he was a home inspector too, so the joke is really on me. This is a just the caulk is dried out and has pulled away. So these areas need to be, it's every house this just happens. You've got to fill these in, re-caulk. It's very satisfying to pull these off and put new caulk down. But a tiny amount, but water can get in there. Showers outside. This is a big one as well. This is, and I just had this at my house, a plastic bag was down, like plastic bag had blown into our basement walkout. If you have a listing and it's even if it's not vacant, you want to make sure that every time you go, you check this area, because if there's rain, anything can blow in here and cover the drain. The water goes into the house here. So yes, we had water go right into our house. And I know better. I thought it was clear, but something blew in, and it was like something, it doesn't matter. Just trash blows in. It's, don't litter. Someone's basement's going to flood. That should be the sign. Instead of, save the turtles. Don't litter, because look what you're doing here. But this is what happens. And see, it deteriorates the wood here. And then you could see here, this is where it would come in, and they put a block here. But you want to be aware of that, and you always want to be clearing that. And it's interesting, in my house, the person who chose the Naked Lady wallpaper, she was a jet propulsion scientist, and her thing in the 60s, and her thing was the water, our drain is blocked because there's too much water. So we need to not have so much water down there. So she built this little hump swale going over the area of that, so the water wouldn't go down to the drain. She directed it into the crawl space vent. So you can't, if you are moving water or redirecting water, you have to think of all the ramifications of that. I know it makes you wonder why I bought my house. I was too emotionally attached. It was perfect. I just loved it. That's it. The roof was leaking and so was the crawl space. Okay.
Can I give
Also,
you a cheat? Can I give you a cheat tip for what you just showed on
please,
that?
please.
So what I do is that I take my fire pit grate, the grate that goes over the fire pit, the one looks like a mesh screen.
Yes.
I put that over top of my basement drain outside the back door. So
Thank
that
you.
when the leaves and the trash blow, that fire pit thing will catch it, and I just come and clear that off like every couple of days. But the
Thank
water
you.
can still go through.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Stephanie is preparing for her role as a home inspector. And also she and I are going to have some more conversations. That was fantastic. So I put a grate down on it that was raised up a little bit, but not that big. And then I found out that was the thing my husband was looking for his smoker. He smokes meat, you know. So he was like, "Where is this thing?" And I was like, I didn't realize that was what it was. It just was the perfect thing. But I love that that's rounded. So thank you. Okay. That is brilliant. So also get some of these outlet covers and light switch covers. Homeowners should have these and just when something breaks, if you duct tape it, then it's going to be like we inspected this house. That and you know what happens. Life gets in the way. Someone shows up to get their hair done. You're not going to finish doing this, so you just put tape over it to keep little fingers safe. You're running out the door to work. You've got to get the kids to school. All the things are happening. You don't know. You're like, okay, I'm just going to make this safe. Life keeps going. You don't fix it. That's deferred maintenance. That's the kind of thing that a pre-listing inspection would discover and point out so that you reduce the buyer's ability to negotiate. It also, if this weren't like this, I'd have had like seeing this had me think, okay, what else is there that's kind of like that they did halfway? It just it does like it that puts something in me in doubt about things. So then I'm looking even more, not trying to catch them at something, but I am trying to figure out what's going on, that's how they left that. And so this house with little kids. So you want to have these. These are super cheap. And I don't know what my dad was planning, but when he died and I went through his house, he had boxes and boxes of these things. So we donated those and they like, I mean, hundreds of them. So you want to have those and you want to just the deferred maintenance. The other thing, other than a pre-listing inspection, is a pre-listing risk review. And we just go through and it's like a walk and talk. You just walk through for an hour, no report, nothing documented. Then the seller knows what to do as they're going. We could be talking about radon, we could talk about termites. The main thing is the home inspection, and all the other things are separate. If you are getting a property that has been flipped, every house could benefit, including new construction with a sewer scope. New construction, the pipes that lead, so when you own a house, the sewer line from the house to the street is responsibility of the owner of the house. The city or county takes care of it from the street. So if that is blocked or that pipe is damaged, that is an issue that this homeowner has to replace or fix. And a new construction, trucks drive over those front yards and damage those pipes. And so I met a guy from Roto-Rooter, and that's all he did was new construction and just going through and doing those sewer scopes there. And we started offering them at new constructions, and we're very surprised at how every single one of them we've done has had a problem. But also, what you want to know about flips, and you are going to have a buyer who says this house is practically new. I don't even really need a home inspection. The sewer scope can save them because the people who are doing the work on the house don't necessarily know what could happen if they're rinsing their tools, their paintbrushes, all their stuff down the kitchen sink, the bathroom drain, all that, the drywall dust, all ends up building like a block wall in the basement or in the sewer line. And the water can't get through. So either quickly or over time, that's going to be blocked. We just had it with someone. young guy bought his first house, and his mom called me from Nigeria to yell at me for not having this handled because the water was backing up into the basement. The sewage was when he took his first shower, his first day there. He didn't have a sewer scope, and he said, I wanted to have a sewer scope, but it was expensive, so I figured I'll just wait and I'll do it later. The plumber came out. We went out with the plumber. The plumber did a sewer scope and said, do you see this huge block right here of like concrete in here? If you'd had a sewer scope before you bought it, you'd have known about this. The seller would have just handled it or whatever. Or you could have said, no, I'm not getting it until that's done, whatever. But it was an interesting thing because it was so, I always say it, but then to have it be like that day and his mother, like a world away, could not help her son in any way other than to call me. Like, what do I do?
What do you do in that situation when a client calls and they're on the phone cursing you out for something that's not your responsibility?
So I'm going to give you my response and then I'm going to let Kirsten handle it. But the biggest thing when you're mad or feel like you're a victim in some way is that you need to be heard.
Right,
So, and that's part of all of why Keller Williams training is so valuable is because it's all about actually getting in another person's world. So the biggest thing is, I am so sorry you're dealing with that. Tell me more about it. It's not accepting responsibility. I'm not sorry because I did something. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with this.
right.
And how can I support you?
I can be a resource library.
Yes. Yeah, I'm so glad you called me as your first line of, as your first resource. I'm so glad that you called me. Let's see what's going on. And then the next thing is you might say, well, the home inspector might have seen that. We don't know. Do you have the report? And they'll say yes or no. And you'll say, well, I've got the report or I can get the report and I'll look at it and then I'll call you back. But know that you're not alone and I'm on your side as we deal with this. That way, you've bought yourself some time to actually get the report and look at it. Remember the property. Get yourself back to the moment that that was happening. Remember the emails that you've got that from that specific transaction. Think of the texts that went through because there will be all those things. There was a one buyer sued a Keller Williams agent because they said she told them that they didn't need a termite inspection. And when they took off the siding off the side of the house, and they tried to sue us, and their lawyer was like, that's silly, they're not termite inspectors. So this is why I know so much about it, because they pulled us in, but then didn't actually do it. But they took off the wall, all the siding, and it was termites all the way up the side of the house from the inside. Most termite inspectors, by the way, do not go in the attic. So if you're getting a home inspector and that they do the termite at the same time, that's better than an independent someone else coming in because all those other people who do the work, the termite people who sell the services and stuff, they come in and they will sell services. So the other thing is they're not going in the attic. 90% of them don't. So, but this was in the attic. It was all the way down that wall and it was like $200,000 worth of damage. And the house itself was like 200,000. And so there was a settlement and the settlement was 200,000. You got to keep records, but what you saying, tell me what's going on. Okay, great. Now let me pull this up. I'm going to look at your report and I'll give you a call. And I know this is urgent. I'll get back to you by 4 o'clock tomorrow or whatever it is. And you say, I'm going to get back to you by this time and then do it. But then get into that report so that you can get really clear on what it is. And then if you have questions, you could call me and you're like, Rachel, okay, this is what it says in the report. This is what's happening. Now what? But you're not alone because I'm your resource. I am your resource library for trying to get that. But you want to give them that feeling of being heard and then also give yourself time to not respond to their stuff because it's hard enough to regulate your nervous system when things are going well. And then you add this and your body thinks you're being chased by a lion. And you're like, no, you don't need to do that to your whole system. because of your career.
Yeah, so I was gonna say the same thing with just show empathy first, but in the end, it's very helpful if you have in the past have email records of you recommending things like that. So a home, you recommended a home inspection with a sewer scope. Um, there's something called Home Serve in Baltimore City and Baltimore County where for I had a rental property that had a sewer line get clogged and it needed to be replaced and it was $11,000 and I had home serve on that rental property, which costs, I think, like $8 a month or something.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
really cheap. And that whole thing, I had no expense out of pocket for that rental property. The whole $11,000 repair got covered. It's the only insurance like the only like warranty kind of thing I have on that property. So it's helpful if you have those things in your email just to show that you were a resource there. But in the end, like things happen with a house. Things happen. Even if it was perfect the day they bought it, doesn't mean something bad isn't going to happen. My daughter, when she bought her house, air conditioning was only a couple years old. She got a home warranty, which was good because 2 months later, air conditioning broke. Even though it had been working at the time of the inspection, things happen, and so empathy is what it is, but it's not your responsibility. You're a helper, but it's not, you couldn't have done anything.
Yep. And never say, "Oh, you don't need that."
Yes, never.
And that's we actually we have it this week. We just had an agent just say, "Okay, so the home inspector's saying the trusses are cut in the attic. It's not a big deal. It's been like this a long time." And repeated it over and over and what we do if we have a situation like that is all we can do is put it in the report. We're not going to override you and make you look like jerks, even though you recommended us and now you're saying what we're saying has no value.
Yeah.
But our inspectors just call me to clear, to just get
Yeah.
the emotions out so that they can actually be with it. And so he went out to the car and called me and he's like, "Rachel," and now the buyer's like, "I don't know why you're trying to get me to do something about this." He's like, "I'm just telling you that this is it." But there's not, you don't want to be the one because we take good notes and keep them because of this. I don't want them coming back when that roof is sagging more or the floors are sagging or whatever, that it's like, "Well, you never told me." Well, it's in the report,
Yep.
but the agent said it over and over. So just be
That's
really
my biggest
careful.
fear. That's my biggest fear is to be sued, to get a fine. So
So if
this all
someone,
this information is much needed. Thank
yeah, if
you.
someone says, "Should I get radon testing for this property?"
Yes, go
Then you
for it. Test
say,
everything.
get everything that you need. Get everything that's going to give you peace of mind. Oh, the house was built in 1980 and you still want lead paint testing? Go
Yes,
for it.
do it. Try
Whatever is going to make you feel better because that's going to be the thing. And they're going to be the one lying in that bed at night staring at the ceiling. They're going to suddenly notice the water droplet stain on the ceiling or something. They're living there. And so you make sure that they get it. Now, you also have to balance that with the more things you ask for, the less likely that your offer is going to be as competitive as the other ones that are saying no inspections or whatever these are. That is the strategy that you and Kirsten and the broker, everybody figures out together. That's how you do, that's your stuff. But you've got to cover yourself. And we give them the list of those options too and say, these are the things we do. Some people get them and some don't. And you might not be able to do these things now because of how your contract is written. They may be things you want to think about in the future because want to make sure that so we offer it to everybody, but we also say it may not be your thing right now. But from a fair housing perspective, we make sure we offer it to every single person no matter what. Even if the agent says, "Don't talk to them about radon," which that also happens. Oh, Marie has had her hand up patiently waiting for us.
Yes, Richard. I wanted to go back to what Kristen was just saying. Kristen, you said that if you can just have to remediate all those problems, we can propose to the home buyer to have the what type of cover, and then you say it's just $8. So
Oh,
we went.
I was talking about this was coverage for just the water line.
Okay.
It was
Oh,
called
okay.
conserve, but it only covers just like either your water line coming in or your sewer line going out, or you can pay for both of them. And it's like under $10 a month, something like that. Don't, not that's not an exact number, but it's an estimate. So
Yeah,
that's the
what type
same
of
thing.
company is that one?
It's called Home Serve. And that,
Home serve. Okay, thank you
yeah,
very
they're
much.
in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, but they're switching to another company now, and I'm blanking on the new name. Do you remember the new name, Rachel?
No, but I just got, I mean, your buyers will get mail about this right after they
Yep,
move in. But
yep,
and I just got something about it recently.
yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it pass through the junk mail, but most of the time just
Yeah. Well,
put it in the
I
junk.
thought it was I was really glad I had it.
Okay, I never even be curious to call them
Yeah.
and then ask how much because I thought that it was just this big bulk things. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet. And then
And
a home warranty would cover other things. A home warranty would cover things like,
Okay.
if the dishwasher breaks or something like that.
the
Oh,
other thing, just really quickly to add in there is when so my business partner is his thing is um I would never get that warranty
hmm.
because I have a savings account of 1% of stuff of money that I pull from if I'm gonna need repairs over the year, whatever that is. So if something happens, I've got the money, I'm not gonna pay for that. Or I'm sorry, I have it backwards because that was another part of it. His thing was, I'll get the warranty, I'm not getting the sewer scope.
Hmm.
So, and so that 1% is something you should also be thinking about of that your buyers will need to have like 4 repairs over the year, kind of. But I'm going to get that. I'm not going to get a sewer scope. Why would I do that? And the thing of that is the sewer scope lets you know before you own the house, the condition. And as someone who has had this happen, having a literal storm in your basement is a
Yeah,
problem. Like it's a
yeah,
mess.
Yeah.
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 So for me, because I've lived through it, I want a sewer scope. And for Neil, he's like, well, I have the warranty. I'm not worrying about it.
Yeah.
So it's two very different thought processes. And as you know, your buyers are all going to have very different thought processes. So just to give you that other perspective that was there.
Just to put this out there, Rachel's coming back to us in a couple of weeks in March. I forget the exact date, but what we're going to be talking about in that session is all of those other inspections you could have, like radon and mold and chimney and all those kinds of things, and talking about those with your clients. So that's what we were just talking about. We have part two of that in a few weeks.
Yes. Yep. And those, I also have the classes that I've done over the years on our YouTube channel. It's which is LodeStar Inspections. So you could see those there if you want. Like I need to know more about sewer scopes or whatever it is. They're there. They're not edited. I'm a home inspector in her 50s, trying to learn that stuff, but I haven't. They're not exciting, but they have a lot of good information, and they're fun, and they're people. We're talking about things. Stephanie.
Yes, I'm sorry. I came in a little late. I wanted to know, is there a website that you use where we can go and look up different licensed inspectors for different things for Maryland?
Mm, the DLLR, Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation.
DLLR. Okay.
hmm Exactly where you would go to find the real estate license.
Mm-hmm.
That it's the same thing there for home inspectors and HVAC people, and all those folks are there.
But if
Okay, perfect.
you want recommendations for a particular inspector, put that on like on the brokerage email list. You
Oh,
know,
is that what
Okay.
you're asking for? I'm sorry. Yes.
No, no, I
Oh,
was
I
okay.
just
wasn't
trying
sure
to
which
figure.
one you wanted.
No, I was just trying to find out if it's a list of, who's certified and who's not, so we can
Yeah.
know.
Yep. DLLR if you want to verify the
Yes.
brokerage email list if you need a chimney inspector and you aren't sure who's a good one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And then, of course, you can ask me for anything. I'll try and be your resource. If I don't have it, I can send you to someone else, so all
That would
good.
be great. Can you put your number in the chat or in any email?
Yep, and
Yep.
it'll be in the recording also. I'll put all of her contact info like I'll put it all in our coaching community.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And
And I'll put my
in the chat is great too.
I had one question.
mhm.
When you do the home inspections for sellers, is it the same process as for a buyer? If a seller's putting their house on the market, would you be doing the same steps for them also?
It depends on,
Uh, my bad. I was gonna say comment on it.
What'd you
yeah.
say, Chico?
Oh, I was gonna say, it all goes on whoever the home inspector's working with, like whether it's the buyer
No,
the
Michelle's asking,
seller.
like, if you wanted to do one in advance, like a lot of times sellers will do one before the house gets listed to so it makes
Oh, that was
everything.
the question. My bad. I
Yeah,
apologize.
yeah, no, no
Yeah,
worries.
I feel like you can though, but go
You
ahead.
do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going, Rachel.
So the as the market shifts
Yeah,
to more of a buyer's market,
yeah.
more sellers are going to be looking for a leg up. And so, Michelle, that's exactly it. They will be having a pre-listing inspection is almost the same as a regular home inspection. We just get a little deeper in conversation and pointing things out that other home inspectors are going to point out later that maybe we wouldn't do with a buyer. So it's a little more information. And then it costs the same as a regular home inspection. Then there's the pre-listing risk review or walk and talk. And that's just going through for an hour with the seller and they take notes and write stuff down and then decide what they want to do and fix and not. And the big thing with doing it before you list the property is when you know what is wrong with the house to begin with, without a home inspection, you can fix the things that you know how to fix yourself. You don't have to get a licensed contractor to come in and tighten a screw somewhere or whatever it is. There are little things that a homeowner can do that, and they can do it on their own time and their budget, as opposed to, we've got this time frame. It's got to be a licensed person. It's got all these things that have to be in place because you're in this time frame because you're within a contract situation. Does that help?
Yes, that helps.
Okay, good. Okay, so I took like 37 minutes longer than I was supposed to, Kirsten. I'm so sorry.
No, we needed it. I
I
thank
know.
you. I appreciate
I feel
you.
like it was valuable,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Another
Thank you.
37.
Yeah.
I needed every piece of information you gave.
There you
Wonderful.
go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, you guys will see Rachel again on March 14th, and you're coming back. It might be either the 13th or 20th. I don't remember when it is. You'll get an email. You'll see when it is. But Rachel's coming
Yeah.
back in a couple of weeks to talk more.
Yes. So I will see you at the next one and out and about. And if you have questions or anything, feel free to call me or text me
I have
or
agents
email.
texting me saying they wish they were on this call. I'm like, you guys missed it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well,
Oh,
tell them, show up.
and go to LinkedIn. Go to it's my name. It's Rachel Oslund in LinkedIn and get the buyers, well, both the buyers and the agents. It's
You know,
before you buy is the newsletter for buyers, and then Solid Ground is the agent one.
cool.
So
I'll put those in the coaching community as well.
thank you. Yes, I've gotten a lot of feedback on those. I just started it a couple weeks ago, so like the third one's dropping tomorrow. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're at the like you're cutting edge.
I think that's you. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I know. I just look taller. Wonderful to meet all of you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks so
you.
much for
I'm
doing this.
welcome.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.